saying? Like I know how that feels. I know how that feels to be, you know, to be locked up and then like finally you getting out and you get to go see your family.
Right.
And I just feel like Kwame, what he was able to achieve in Detroit, man, like, you know, regardless of what anybody wants to say about him, like he's the youngest and he's black, and he's the youngest person to ever become mayor in Detroit. That's an incredible thing to accomplish.
Business.
And he had a great deal of like shit on his shoulders. He had like a lot of shit on him. You know what I mean? Like at a young age that he had to balance. And you know he went in there and he did some things great, and he did some things. He made some mistakes. You
right.
know? And I feel like every single mayor that we've ever had made mistakes. You know, like he's just the only one who got indicted. You know, like, and you know, I could subscribe to a conspiracy and say, like I can say that they was targeting him. I could say many things, but here's
right.
one thing that's a fact. He made some mistakes. He went to jail. He did a lot of time. You know what I mean? He did a lot of time, and I just feel like from the journey that I come from, man, like nobody's beneath the possibility of improving. You know, like the possibility of just making, like transitioning from a certain way of thinking to an elevated way of thinking.
How do you think his release will affect the city of Detroit? How do you think he will be received? I know they are already on Instagram, social media going crazy. But I've spoken to him. I have a personal relationship with him. He had some things an agenda that he wanted to implement about prison reform.
Mm-hmm.
Due to the fact he was never incarcerated before. He had no idea about the way that they treat people in the system. He got a chance to go on the other side and experience some of the abuses, some of the constitutional violations that go on in prisons, and he's going to bring that back to the city. Do you think that Kwame's presence and the fact that he was the Detroit mayor can have some influence on the city overall?
Of course, because I mean, he still has the same influence. He still has the same influence, and the fact that his goal is to apply that shit in a way that progresses us. Like he's still gonna have us. He gonna have us behind him. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna have people that's against him. I mean that comes with it. Like along with great power comes great responsibility. He's gonna be tested. But if he could take everything that he's been through and apply it to the city in a way that helps the city, and he turns it into a positive, then it's all worth it. Like nobody's calling Jay-Z a drug dealer.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he took that, and he don't even think that same way no more. He turned that shit into a positive, and that's just what it is. Kwame's still a great man. Nobody's. Anybody can make mistakes, and what I mean. Like anybody can make. But it's about how you bounce back. I got judges and people in the justice system that still to this day treat me like an alcoholic. They want to give me my license. I've been sober for 8 years.
Right.
Like some people just view people who make mistakes as somebody who made a mistake.
Right.
It's like I don't look at people like that because I get looked at like that.
Right.
Like you can't just call me an alcoholic, man. Like it's more to me than just a nigga who was drinking every day.
I never, until I had a chance to somewhat listen to the prior interview you did, I never knew that you had a bout with sobriety. Do you care to elaborate on the early part of your career? Is that what it was? Why you didn't? It seemed like that's what you were saying in the interview. Like you was like, had I had my head together earlier on in my career during this period when I was drinking, it probably would have went like this.
Yeah, I was speaking more so of like if I had been. Like I learned how important it is to make sure that you kind of like stay in control, and you are always in the proper frame of mind dealing with situations. I was just put in a lot of situations where I could have avoided a lot of stupid ass shit if I had just been sober, and I know I would have figured out the right words to use, and I would have been able to talk to whoever it was, and we could have got to a better place.
Right.
And avoided things. You know what I mean? Because like that's so important for me now in life. But like in my 20s, like the caveat is like you standing up for yourself, nigga. It's like nigga, you whoever got a problem, we just have a problem. Like we think that's part of like being a man when it's not.
Right.
You know, that's just one of the cycles. We're parts of fucked up cycles that puts us in that mind frame, and you know, all of us don't survive out of that. You know what I mean? So and then it factors over into getting into the music business too. You know what I mean? Like I didn't take my first drink till I was 21. I took my first drink with Dr. Dre.
In a social setting, right?
Yeah.
You know what? It's funny that you said that, because as I started to escalate in the entertainment business, I noticed that every meal, every dinner, every meeting, every encounter, somebody would say, you know, let's have a drink, or every business meet, it was always alcohol there. And I was running with a certain artist down south, and we were going to business meetings and shit. I'm like, damn, man, we didn't drink like 4 times a day. I'm just a cameraman. Like, I'm not even with this shit for real. Like, I'm just doing it socially, but I'm like, it's very, very easy to see how somebody could develop a fucking alcoholism problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's with me, it's kind of like it already. I got an addictive personality, so
Okay.
like to pick up alcohol is me just basically just nigga feed myself to the wolves. You know what I mean? Like I already have a fucking genetic predisposition to this shit. I come from a long line of alcoholics, drug users, drug addicts. So,
Right.
I mean, dog, like nigga, 8, 9 years old, nigga, I think I was addicted to chewing gum. Like if I wasn't chewing gum, I'd be grinding my teeth. You know what I mean? Like I very easily become physically addicted to things and you know, just figuratively addicted to things.
You feel that this is passed down hereditary?
I think this is a possibility. I think it's a possibility, you know, just because all the similarities that I noticed between me and my dad.
Right.
My dad was a cocaine addict and shit, and just a lot of the same you know, issues.
Characteristics.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it could be hereditary to a degree.
Let me ask you something about this picture right here. I had this issue with XXL. This is a very iconic issue. I think this is kind of like when you guys are introduced to the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And then in this picture, Yellow Wolf is in the picture with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
What happened between you and Yellow Wolf? What happened between Yellow Wolf and Eminem? What happened to this picture?
Well, the picture, at that moment right there, that's basically like when, this is before anybody's album came out, they had just signed all of us. And we was announcing to the world, this is like the new Shady, this is like the new face of the brand.
Right.
It's an exciting new thing, you know, everybody was cool with each other. And as far as Yellow Wolf, like me and Yellow Wolf, we have a personal relationship. We were cool, you know what I'm saying? So like, he would come to Detroit. You know, the last time he had came to Detroit, he came and I let him use my studio, and he had to make a deadline and shit. So I'm like, I'm a workaholic, bro. So like, I'm in here all the time. So I basically stopped working, let this nigga get my room, and I went in the B room and just like improvised over there so he can get done with him.
Right.
So I introduced him to my young engineer and shit. They got cool. My young engineer gave him some beats. And later down the line, he ended up reaching out to my youngin about some beats and shit. They developed a little relationship, and then my youngin ended up going down there to work with him. And when he went down there, some things happened. Some things happened that I took personal offense to. And it was something to where, had I gotten a phone call, just clarifying some things, I'd have been alright. You know what I mean? I wasn't really tripping, even though, you know, like I could have tripped over it and I would have been well within my right to really just be super offended by what took place.
Okay.
But I try to have more of an open mind, but you know, just like the whole, like, just feeling like you didn't even, something like that could happen and you ain't even have to call me and at least clarify, or at least be like, yo, such and such happened, my bad, you know what I mean? Like, you met him through me, you know what I mean, you cut into him, you didn't say nothing to me. It's like so many little small rules got broken, and then when that happened right there, it was like, that was like the blow to our friendship.
When you said you cut into him, you never introduced him to Marshall Mathers?
No, I'm talking about my man, Yellow Wolf and the engineer.
Okay, you never introduced your engineer to Yellow Wolf. He cut into your engineer.
Yeah, well, I introduced him here.
Okay.
And then he went home and liked some of the beats, so he ended up calling my engineer like 6 months later.
Right.
And when they started to talk, he cut into him about like trying to sign him and like, you know, if I meet somebody through
he violated codes.
you know what I mean?
He
like,
violated codes.
So I just looked at it like, man, maybe he from a different culture. I ain't gonna trip, but that's kind of, I felt like it was kind of corny. But when he went down there and some things happened, I told myself I wasn't gonna air it out because I don't want to like. It's very difficult for me to do things, man, and in my mind, I feel like it's a possibility that it can be taken as I'm trying to use it as some sort of vehicle to sell something or like subscribe to some type of controversy. Like I'm not really into that, you know what I mean? Like, but what he did, I felt like I needed to address him publicly because that's the only way I really could deal with it. If I had dealt with it on some personal shit and just made a move on him, then I would have been like, I would have been taking it too far for who he is. You know what I'm saying?
I get that.
You know what I mean? Like, it was the only way I could handle it. I had to speak to him on some MC shit, but I had to let him know you're being held accountable because these guys, man, like, they run around in this shit, man, and they're very disrespectful with the art form, and I care about the culture. You know what I mean? And I just feel like when he came into the game, he was about 3-6 Mafia. He was about being a student of the game, and then, sometime somewhere along the line he just flipped into some other shit, and that's cool too, evolve into what you evolve into, but Biggie and Pac ain't died so you could just be disrespectful to just everything that is us. We created this shit, and on top of that there's a certain level of respect that I just expect just my friends, like people who I just got relationships with. I wouldn't command nothing from you that I'm not willing to reciprocate to you, you know what I mean? Like, and I would have called anybody that I'm, have any type of relationship with. The first thing I would want to do is call and clear my name, and not have certain things on my name. Like, to not call me is just to basically, it's to really just feel like, nigga, you really feel like you got a guaranteed spot in this culture, like. I personally feel like I could remove you from the culture. That's just how I feel. You know what I mean? So I think sometimes guys got to get reminded of that, man.
Now, when you say sometimes you have to remind people of being in this culture, and you're speaking of, in this instance, Yellow Wolf, who's white, we've had my man, Lord Jamar, close friend of mine, say that Eminem's reception or Eminem's presence in this culture isn't what it should be, or it might be taken out of context. Do you feel that your perception or your the way you looking at Yellow Wolf and the way that Jamar's looking at Eminem, guests in the culture, is similar?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely similar. The thing with me is, like, I wouldn't frame it that way when referring to somebody just because it don't really fit who I, like me. You know what I mean? I just don't talk like that. But it's a similar ideology that we share.
Got it.
But I'm not like, it wasn't really about that with me. To me, it was just about respect.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was about respect, but that part of it just happens to coincide with it.
Okay.
It all goes together. But really, the main thing I was kind of tripping on was just like, man, like, I thought you kind of knew me. I thought you knew better than that, my nigga. You done been to Detroit, like.
They not from the culture. So
yeah, man. It's
some
like
things that they might forget along the way.
Dog, I was just like, man, dude. And then he put up a post like some tough guy shit. I was just like, bro. At that moment, I knew to start kind of finding me an exit out of this.
That whole situation.
Yeah, right. Because come on, man. That's not a reality. That's not a real thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, but I think my point got across. He ended up reaching out. he wanted to get on the phone with me, but I didn't talk to him because I didn't. To me, it's the same entitled behavior.
Right.
You know, now you want it to stop.
Right.
You know, you want it to stop now because nothing else worked, and it's like, that's cool too, man. You know what I mean? Like, just understand, like, that this is a pass.
Right.
Like, I don't have a malicious bone in my body, bro. Like, if I put more energy into keeping him safe, man. Just being honest. Just being honest. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't wanna hurt nobody.
Right.
I'm not asking nothing that I wouldn't. I'm not asking for nothing that I'm not willing to reciprocate. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So, I just feel like everybody got to be held accountable for what they do.
No doubt.
Period.
No doubt. How long have you been an actual MC? How long have you been writing?
I say about 25 years.
25 years?
Mm-hmm.
What year can you recollect writing your first rap? And did you use a specific? I had people tell me tales of, I had a little Fisher Price joint and I had a tape deck and I played a little beat. How did you go about putting down your first joint?
Yeah, when I started writing my own raps, like writing raps, I was like probably about 16, 17, like karaoke machine type shit.
Right.
Like before that, man, like I used to mimic other rappers. So like I could rap exactly like E40, like Bring the Yellow Tape, I knew by heart. Like, right. You know what I'm saying? The LL Cool J, I'm Bad, I knew the choreography and the words by heart. Rap just like Red
so
Man.
You could perform LL
like
in the mirror.
Yeah, hell yeah.
No doubt.
My dad used to make me perform it in front of his friends.
No doubt.
I'm Bad.
No doubt. Yeah.
LL is like, damn, I wish you'd have came 3 days later. You would have seen I got the Floyd picture.
Yeah.
I got a LL one, a frame that I'm getting made now, but I got some Mama Said Knock You Out gloves that he signed. So
that's crazy.
I'm gonna put it there instead of that
That's
one.
crazy. Do you have actual, since we're speaking on the GOAT, greatest of all time, LL Cool J, do you have an actual favorite MC?
Of all time?
Yeah.
Shit, that's a tough one, bro. Probably Jay-Z.
Okay, do you have a top 5?
I think that got to be broken down in generations, but man, just to guesstimate going off preference, it don't necessarily make it right. But to me, my personal preference, I like Black Thought, LL Cool J, Jay-Z, Nas, Marshall.
Okay. Do you think that, what's your opinion on, Nas put out a narrative on the song, Ether. He said to Jay-Z, Eminem killed you on your own track. How do you feel about that? Unequivocally, give me your opinion. How did you feel about it before Nas said that? And, I don't know, now?
Man,
because it seemed like Nas the one that put that out there. I mean, in my opinion, anyway.
I was just so happy, man, that Marshall was doing songs with these types of dudes, man. You know what I mean? Like, Renegade was my song. Like, we recorded that for my album, and I wasn't using it.
Okay.
So he hit me up and was like, "Yo, you mind if I give Jay this joint because I don't want to miss another deadline, man. This is Jay-Z."
Right.
I was like, "Do I?" Like, man, what the fuck? Thank you for asking, but nigga, you ain't have to ask me that. Like that's.
Right.
So when Jay put his verses on it, man, the song became magical. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like it taught me something in that moment.
So that, since I'm in a position to talk to these kids and they listen, that was already like that.
Already like that.
That's crazy. I'm glad you cleared that up, because when you hear somebody like Nas say Eminem killed you on your first track, you envision them possibly being in a studio recording together, or you know what I mean, one guy went in the booth and the other.
We made that song. I watched him build the whole beat from scratch, and he came with the whole Never Been Afraid, and I did my version of that just like Jay-Z did.
So the hook, everything was the same.
Everything was the exact same. The only difference is my version, I'm attacking it more like how M is attacking it.
Right.
When you take my verses out and then Jay-Z gets on there, he falls in a pocket. He falls in a pocket on some cool shit, and it makes a way better marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was one dimensional when I was on it because it sounded like me and him at the hip hop shop attacking it the same kind of way. Jay-Z attacked it a whole.
If you tune in to me, you watching Gully TV. We've been invited to a one-on-one with one of the most decorated MCs in the game right now. If you're familiar with my platform, I've been super critical of him, and I let him know what my stance was. I actually was in the dark in terms of knowing your musical catalog, so I could say a bunch of shit that didn't make any sense. But I mean, yeah. I listened to Upside Down with Benny the Butcher. I listened to your songs with Westside. I mean, the song that you did with Westside Gun, Fire. I'm noticing that you've been, as of late, you've been on a lot of urban media platforms. Let me interject on this right here. I always felt and looked at you in the terms of being like an A-list talent. Like you said, you've done arenas and all of that, and a lot of guys, with your following and prestige, didn't really give any rhythm to the urban media platforms. Y'all kind of went to Vlad, LA Leakers, No Jumper, and lately I've been seeing you actually getting busy on the urban media circuit, and the music is, I like it. So what changed? Because it seemed like you kind of like aiming the Royce the 5'9" brand in a market that it wasn't really popular in at first. Like I said, I considered you to be somewhat a backpacker. Because whenever you were mentioned, they was talking about 1,000 bars. It was always some bars and bars. But in totality, what's changed?
Well, I think the backpacker moniker just came from me being a backpacker. You know what I'm saying? And like,
So you accept that you were a backpacker MC?
I'm still a backpacker.
Okay.
I mean, you know, like to me, a backpacker just kind of mean like I fell in love with the art, like being drawn to the words. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm real into the words. I'm into words, like connecting syllables and you know, like the scientific part of MCing. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? But over the years, I just developed a lot of different tools, so I could use them in a lot of different ways. So what happened along my journey was this. Like I got in the game, I signed a deal with Tommy Boy back in '99. Then that album didn't come out. Then I signed a deal with Sony in 2001. That album didn't come out. So there's never a song that you can connect to me because there never was a song.
I'm glad that you sat here and cleared that up, fam, because like I told you, whenever your name came up, it was kind of like a mixtape, Team Backpack, how many bars you can spit thing. So yeah, I didn't actually.
Yeah, and it was the same with everybody in Slaughterhouse except Joe. Joe had Pump It Up. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? But I've never released a album on a major label.
Okay.
All of my albums been independent. So what happens when a guy like me that's like known for being able to rap, usually when I rap, those are the things that garner the most attention. You know what I'm saying? So like my base has been built kind of like from that. You know what I'm saying? So like in terms of just like the urban media, I never looked at that before.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like how it would normally go for me, it's like when I'm about to put an album out, I hire a publicist. The publicist lines up a bunch of shit and I go do it.
Right.
Now in my older age, I'm more
accessible.
I just want to be more. I want to be in control of anything that's involving my narrative. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like so, I'm real against division right now. And like one of the things that I noticed just in the game in general, man, is like people, all of these different platforms and shit get put in different categories. You know, this is better than this, or this is bigger than this. It's the same with the artists, like I was saying earlier. You know, like this pop artist is bigger than this urban artist, and it's like to me, our culture is just one. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And like a lot of the urban like platforms that you're talking about, like I never paid them any attention because I was somewhere drinking, or you know, when I get online, I go, you know, to World Star, or I go to fucking Hip Hop DX to hear, you know, who rapping, and that's kind of it. But like Queens Flip, I know from the battle rap scene, that's my nigga. So I started being a fan of his show because his shit's funny.
Right.
And then, you know, like I'm into, you know, the Alpo and all of that the wild nigga out in DC that you interviewed.
Sean
Like
Bray.
I like all that shit. So
Okay.
I subscribe to your shit. And then like when I started to hear how y'all were talking, that's what got my attention.
When you say how we were talking, you mean abrasive, or were you talking shit to each other?
Y'all, it's like y'all speak in a way like y'all are separate. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So like, and then I started to get the feeling that y'all feel like y'all are overlooked by some artists, like by some level of artists. Like maybe the publicists will go, you know, like we're not gonna do those outlets because maybe they on a certain level. We gonna just focus on these because I mean shit. I guess that's what motherfuckers do.
That's an error. Let me interject just for 1 second. That's an error. And what I mean by that is a lot of people, in terms of my platform, I have 110,000 subscribers, but I get an analytic report every month, and it says that 75% of my audience aren't even subscribed to my channel. You feel me? So the number thing isn't indicative of success.
Right.
Also, me, Queens Flip, Doggy Diamonds, Doc Hicks TV, who's from out here in Detroit, we've developed an audience where it's not how many's watching, it's who's watching. You dig what I'm saying? And the stuff that we're doing, Queens Flip was just online with Shaquille O'Neal.
Right.
I interviewed Kwame Kilpatrick. I mean, like, we are what's popping, and because sometimes we have some abrasive style content, the search engine don't always push what we doing. If you talking about Alpo and he killed a bunch of people, or you talking about Sean Branch and he might have did something, they're not gonna promote that on the YouTube homepage.
Right.
So what happens is guys like No Jumper, LA Leakers, and these different platforms, they look like they're a little bit more successful and legitimate than us, and that's not really the case. We all got the same microphones, the same MacBooks, and we actually, the urban platforms, I don't consider myself to be an urban platform. I feel I crossed over, but the urban platforms are more in tune with you guys' history. We don't have to run through a Google search to,
Right.
you know what I mean, to put down a Royce the 5'9" interview or nothing like that. We don't need no itinerary. We already know because we are actual participants in this
Right.
hip-hop culture.
Yeah, after I got in Slaughterhouse and I did Prime with Preem, I learned a little bit. It made me more interested in like studying the process of building brands.
Okay.
Because they two different things. And then I did Bad Meets Evil with Eminem, which is a whole nother different thing. And it's just like, I just started being into like studying, you know, like just different brands and different platforms and shit like that. And it was a live stream that you did after we did the state of the emergency thing for the COVID.
Right.
And you were talking about like, I can't remember exactly what you said.
This is what it was. There was an emergency chain text message and email sent through social media declaring that black people were under attack, and we need to all go to Revolt TV and listen to this, you know, kind of like a state of address message. And he had compiled a panel, and I said, in my opinion, I felt that he had an ulterior motive, and he did. We ended up seeing that he had an ulterior motive, and I didn't like it. I didn't like that he jumped. I didn't like that a lot of people are jumping into our lane. When I say our lane, I mean the podcast lane, the media lane. Y'all stars. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are legends. Y'all stars. Y'all MCs. You guys. But you have people coming down off of their pedestal and they're jumping into our lane. You feel me? And when I see somebody like Puff jump into my lane and tell everybody to come to his platform, we're under attack. I've been talking about Dr. Sabi and Ginger and all type of health awareness for the past 2-3 years. You dig what I'm saying? I don't want to sit here and watch you use your popularity to come and just snatch the viewership for whatever itinerary that you have. And that was the live that brought me and you together. That's how we had our conversation.
That was interesting to me because being in Detroit, obviously the COVID shit hit here real hard. You know what I'm saying? Like my auntie and uncle actually own the biggest funeral home here. It's called the O.H. Pye Funeral Home.
Okay.
And shit, they ran out of room to put bodies outside in vans and shit. You know what I'm saying? And I did a lot of work on the front lines at the hospitals, donating shit. So there's a lot of things that I seen firsthand. And then my father caught the shit. You know what I'm saying? So like, it hit super close to home with me. And then like, I was just looking at everything, man. It's like you can look online and you can just see the problem. Like you can see where we're all scattered out. You know, like everybody's doing their thing in their own way, but it's only the black community.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, and then it was like, I had been following you for a minute, and I was just like thinking to myself, like, this dude is speaking directly to the communities that are affected the most. You know, like, so the words that come out of your mouth in regards to the COVID thing are more important than anybody's.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So like, and I was a part of that panel that Puff called. So and then you had said some shit about me a couple times. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, you already were on my radar as somebody like who like, I was like, I know this dude is cool with Lord Jamar, but I know he don't fuck with me. But I like the channel. I like the channel. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, he think we so separate. You know what I'm saying? So I followed you on Instagram, and then I DM'd you, and then I ain't get a response, and then for some reason I looked on your page and it said contact, and I never did that on nobody's Instagram. I hit the contact button and the number popped up. I'm like, is this nigga's number? So I called it.
Yeah.
So it was like, pick up, hang up. I was like, hello? So I text, what up? This Royce. You know what I'm saying? This Royce. What's up, my nigga? And, nothing. So I called again. Hang up. So then text back, yo, if this really Royce, I'll FaceTime with you. Otherwise, you know what I'm saying? So
be a lot of bullshit on the internet.
Yeah,
right.
So I was like, okay, so he must have people playing on his phone. So I FaceTimed you. And then that was our first time meeting. But my whole purpose of calling you was like, first of all, to let you know that I was a fan of the show. You know what I'm saying? And then second of all, to let you know that, man, we not as separate as niggas think.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like,
it seemed like you were amongst this group of hip hop elites who would never fuck with us. I feel that you stepped out of it recently. When I seen you on Math Hoffa's Expert Opinion, that shit meant a lot to me. You feel me? When I seen Jake the Snake Roberts, the wrestler, on Queen's Flip, that shit meant a lot to me. I'm like, man, they starting to represent and respect our motherfucking dribble. Like, that's all we want is that. Now, if I had to be what I would call extra critical or put some sauce on it, it's because I was trying to get here.
right.
You feel me? That might have been the only way that I could have generally got your attention. It's similar to 50 Cent writing a How to Rob an MC record. So, as you see, I'm 100% professional, and we spoke prior to this. And, yeah, again, you definitely cleared up, I think you cleared up a misconception for a lot of people when you said, I never put out an album. Like, people probably would look at you because we've seen you on BET and all this shit and think you got albums and shit.
People think I've been signed to like Shady this whole time. I've never been signed to Shady.
That's another misconception. Let's talk about that. Why do people generally always link you and Eminem no matter what happens? Not to mention, it seems like whenever he gets in a conflict, y'all just jump out the woodwork to defend him, on the mic. When he's a highly skilled MC himself, like, people be wanting to see what the fuck he gonna say. A lot of times, he don't even get a chance to say nothing.
Well, I think people associate me with him just because we came into the game together. He put me in the game, and he is a huge star. So like his star power is just like it speaks loud. You know what I mean? So like that's how people associate us. Now in terms of me defending him, I never defend him on the mic. I don't need to defend him on the mic.
Is there a perception that
Yeah.
you know when you get into something with somebody like Yellow Wolf, people say, "Oh, he defending Eminem again."
No, because I didn't have nothing to do with Marshall. But,
Okay.
yeah, like I've been very vocal in the past about certain things being said about Marshall, you know, because he's not vocal, because that's not what his platform is. He doesn't speak off of his platform much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like my voice is a little louder than his in the culture, and it's like it's certain things.
When you say your voice is a little louder than his in the culture, why is it like that? If he's often mentioned as being one of the faces of the culture, why is your voice considered to be louder, and why doesn't he offer an actual presence? I mean, people have their picks whether or not who's the GOATs, who's the tops of all time. That's never gonna end. But why do you feel that your voice is louder?
I speak more.
Okay.
You know, like I'm more engaging. And I'm more interested in the things day to day that goes on. Like my voice is louder than Nas's. My voice is louder than Jay-Z's. They don't speak. You know, that's just like on their level. That's just the way that they carry with their brand.
Right.
Everybody's just different. You know, and sometimes I feel like certain things are being said or certain narratives are being shaped, and it's damn near like how you feel if you feel like something is being said about your friend, and your friend ain't here to defend himself, but you standing right there.
Got you.
And it's kind of like, but that ain't true. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like the only time I ever step up and say something is when some shit ain't true, or when it's some shit that's just false. You know what I mean? But see, the problem with that, man, and one thing that I learned is no matter what I do, if I say something, then it's gonna somehow get turned into these niggas think I can't have my opinion, and this nigga always caping for him. Because you know when you friends with a motherfucker on that kind of magnitude, people tend to think like you're friends with that person because they're a star of that magnitude.
Got
so
you.
You in some way need them in order to be whatever you are.
Okay, with that being said, can you give some insight on your relationship with him before all of the Dr. Dre and the notoriety came into play?
Yeah, so like the first time I seen Marshall was the first time I went to the hip hop shop. So I seen him around and I heard him rap and I had the tape, but I didn't actually know him. So I ended up opening up for Usher in '97, and he was at the venue selling his Slim Shady EP.
Mm-hmm.
And my manager introduced us. I had just did an acapella on stage, and he was like, "Yo, man, the acapella was crazy." We met that night, and we started talking on the phone. That's back when niggas was using the landlines.
Right.
We started talking on the phone, you know, about MC shit. And when he got his deal, song we did called Bad Me See, where he wanted to put it on his album. So I had to go out to Cali to recut the vocals. And when I went out there, it's actually when we got tight, because like he was out there working on the album by himself, and he had shows to do. So I went with him, held him down, did the hype man shit with him, and we just started bonding like that. So that's like when we got tight. You know what I'm saying? So that was it. So I just kind of watched the nigga, like, not really planned to be all of this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, niggas was really, like, students of this shit. That's why I trip over the Lord Jamar shit, man, because it's like, bro, you talking about a motherfucking student of the game.
Okay.
You talking about somebody who's, like, who fell in love with hip-hop and looked at LL Cool J like a god, the same way I looked at LL Cool J. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he one of the reasons why I kind of view hip-hop music like the only thing that can bridge motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? That can bridge motherfuckers together, and it's the language that everybody understands, that's understood. You know, nothing needs to be said. Everybody can agree on things in hip-hop.
Right.
You know, it's a universal language that we kind of like overlook, you know, that power. You know what I'm saying? And I had a lot of bad experiences because I moved to the city called Oak Park when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that happened the first day I got there was I got called a nigga by a white boy. So I had a lot of bad experiences with white people when I was growing up. So Marshall had a lot of bad experiences with black people growing up in the hood because he used to act black. So they used to beat him up and shit. So he thought black people didn't like him. So like, I always told him if it wasn't for him, I think I would have generalized. Like, it's because of him that I don't generalize. Like, not like he restored my faith in white people. Nearsighted thinker. If it wasn't for him, and he feels like that about Proof. Proof pulled him into the hip hop shop, got niggas off of him. Oh, y'all gotta listen to him, cause he was getting booed off stage just cause he was white.
Okay.
But he was dead nice.
Right.
You know, like, so the adversity that he faced, it could take a motherfucker and make him generalize. It can make him feel like, oh, they don't fuck with me, so, you know, like, you know, it's people who live their lives like that. Motherfuckers who ain't never left the hood, they see the world through that fisheye lens.
Right, you're right.
You know
Fisheye lens.
Yeah, so it's like, I just feel like God put us in each other's lives, you know, for shit like that. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's certain things, like, when a motherfucker do certain things before the money and do certain things with nothing to gain, and it's just their natural personality, and like we share a common bond because we love some shit the same way, we view some shit the same way, you know, it's a connection there that's kind of like, it don't really matter. You're not gonna let somebody assume something
Right.
that you feel is going too far. You know what I'm saying? It's just like how you dispel that. It takes a little bit of a masterful motherfucker to be able to do it in a way to where you really get through to the person and you can get to a place, like a resolution. I find that whenever I step up and I speak in regards to Marshall, it ends up being more of a not a problematic situation, because it's never beef, but more of just trivial shit where it's just like, I don't get nothing out of that. I'm not like here for that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's really just like, bro, I'm here to inform you. Like, I'm the guy who knows him. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of motherfuckers don't get to see him. I know him personally.
Okay.
Student of the sport, lyrical genius. You know what I'm saying? Or a rapper, chew through whoever. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, with Lord Jamar, I think the reason why that was a thing was just because of who he is.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of guys talk like that, but it's not that big of a deal. But see, that's Lord Jamar from Brand Nubian. You know what I mean? And also, you talking about him being on the cover of a magazine and a magazine calling him the king of hip hop. Like, he hates that.
Right.
He doesn't talk like that.
Right.
Like, that's one of the things that makes him great to me.
He don't like that he was forced into those conversations.
That's why he came in dissing the boy bands and shit. It was just like, yo, man, like, don't mix me up with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't mix me up with the bullshit. And my thing is, like, it's so many of them now. He opened the door for a lot of the bullshit. So it's a lot of them now that's the bullshit.
Right.
Talk to the bullshit.
Right.
You talking about the genuine article, my nigga. Like, this, you talking about a man that came through and paid every dude that you can think of. Every single dude. Every dude. And still respectful to this day, man. Like, still paying homage to the legends. Still studying the legends. Still studying the youngins. Still rapping with a point to prove.
Right.
Man could have took his ball and went home a long time ago. You know what I mean? Like, just that same dedication, hunger, at that level and at that fucking in that tax bracket, you know, like, we still can sit on the phone for hours and just talk about techniques and shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's where my respect, love, and admiration comes from. It's like a it's just like a relationship you would have with a close friend. You know what I mean? It's like a motherfucker being like, oh man, that's such and such and such, and you know he's not here to defend himself. It's kind of like, man, no, that's not true. That's not how that went. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
That's all it really be. But it ain't, you know, it never was like a issue or nothing like that. But somewhere along the line, the narrative got turned into I'm always jumping out the window for him, and Nick Cannon went the whole racist direction, and you know what I'm saying? And it's just,
what's up with Nick Cannon, man?
You know, I think I think that the last time around that they went through it, I think he just took that really personal. It seemed like he took that really personal.
M took it personal?
No,
or
it
Nick?
seemed like Nick Cannon took it real personal because
Right.
he didn't seem that upset, as upset as he was this time, last time.
Okay.
To me.
You think something happened between the last time and now?
Well, M said the shit on the Fat Joe song about Nick.
Right. That's what brought it back up.
Yeah.
Right.
So Nick's reaction to that was surprised me. Because normally, I follow Nick Cannon. You know, I watch Wild 'N Out and all that. I watch his interviews. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm intrigued by some of the things he talks about in his interviews. And he seems like, to me, my vision of him was, he's with all of the, you know, we rapping. He with all of that. He'll rap, he'll crack jokes, you know what I'm saying? He don't take himself too serious. It was something about this time where I just felt like he took himself extremely serious. And that ain't even coming from a place of judgment, because it's like, you know, like if somebody did something to make you upset, then you upset. It just surprised the fuck out of me.
You saying that because he kind of like, he fired off like 3 diss songs?
Yeah, he fired off 3 diss songs, but it was coming from a place, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was coming from a place. Like, his angle was like, it was like he was trying to, like, in his mind, he thought that somehow he could, like, put M in a place, in a spot.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, his verse on Fat Joe shit wasn't to put Nick in a spot. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was some hip hop shit.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Nick went to talking about fighting and
Yeah, he was
all
trying
type of
with
shit.
that.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, yeah, I remember that first time that they was kind of like going at it. That seemed a little bit more fun. You know what I mean? So, like, you know, then I got like a couple phone calls. I got to talk to this nigga, this OG, that OG. I'm like, bro, I'm not about to be talking on the phone to you decorated gangsters about Nick Cannon, my nigga. Like, no disrespect. No disrespect. But it's just like, that ain't what we doing, man. This not where we at in life.
Right.
We did all of this already. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this is rapping. Let's put this back in perspective. You know what I mean? So no harm, no foul. You know, if the man took it, if the man took offense to it, then in my opinion, it's time to let it go. You know what I mean? And it's time to stop adding fuel to it.
Speaking of letting things go, when are you gonna turn Ashley loose?
Ashley?
Yeah, man. During the course of me doing my, preparation to come down here, I looked at a few of your videos. I love neo soul music, and I love fashion, and I love art. And when I see her and listen to her, that's what I get. She just fills my cup. Tell me when you're gonna turn her loose.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna play you some shit too. She got some incredible shit, man. And I was actually in the process of mixing it right as the lockdown started. So when the lockdown started, she went to the crib, and I didn't see her for maybe a month and a half, maybe 2 months. So
Damn.
She just came back up here yesterday. That was my first time seeing her, so we getting back started, finishing her shit. But I had planned on dropping it right off of my album,
Right.
A lot of people was talking. But now, since that shit happened,
So
some
that
of it
video,
kinda
she got a big response. People like,
Hell
yo,
yeah.
who the fuck is that?
hell yeah, I was ready.
Yeah, she was kicking that shit, yo.
I was gearing up. To. I'm focused on her now, but I mean, I was getting ready. You know what I mean? And the pandemic just kind of fucked all that up. So, we just gonna finish mixing the songs. She got a couple of new ideas that she wanted to work on, and we gonna start releasing music on her. She ready to go.
Yeah. How's the current project, Allegory? How's it doing?
It's doing good. It's doing good, man. Like I like getting my ideas out, and I'm like, the fulfillment for me comes in just completing shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a milestone for me that never really even was in my on my checklist of things to do. Like, I never had any desire to make beats. That shit just kind of happened.
Right.
And I ain't had the confidence to say I'm gonna produce my own whole album. I just ended up with a certain amount of songs, and I figured I might as well just finish the shit off. It was just like, it kind of happened that way, and I like when things happen that way, because it makes me feel like it was meant to be that way. Like I don't like forcing shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I like I got a lot of fulfillment out of the things I got off my chest, and you know, just getting it out there, producing it, and yeah, man, I can't really complain.
You in my opinion, because I be on the internet all day, all night. Had you not switched speeds, had you not made some transitions, you might not have been here. The way the internet works, it basically belongs to whoever's working. You know what I mean? Whoever's uploading and shit like that. And you ask me like, yo, what's gonna happen when you run into one of these niggas? They not even gonna be here, my nigga. Right. If they don't work with me, if you don't get in front of this camera, if you don't work with me, they're not gonna be here in a year. You're gonna fall from being relevant. You dig what I'm saying? I think guys need to know that about my platform. This is the highest level of this hip hop culture right now. You dig what I'm saying? And if somebody feel that they're gonna thrive and go far in this shit, especially from the underground, the ground level, the level that we're on, you gotta be in front of this camera. They're not gonna be here. And I say that in terms of you're gonna fall from conversation. They're gonna fall from conversation. They're gonna fall from relevancy if they're not. And it's not just me either. Queens Flip, Doggy Diamonds, Doc Hicks TV. We are the legs on marketing online. Straight up.
Yeah, I think it's a growing process that some artists got to go through before they are privy to that, aware of that. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of guys just don't know what they're looking at. Like I don't think I've never heard anybody. I know a lot of artists. I've never heard nobody just like straight up say like I ain't doing these kind of outlets. And like a lot of, especially the young niggas, they don't think like that. They just like.
Somebody told me that some of the record labels, like if somebody's on a major record label, the record label might have some influence on the platforms that they appear on. Because it absolutely makes no sense for a guy like Dave East, whose music and audience is here at Gully TV, would be on No Jumper and all of these. He didn't even do none of the. I don't want to make it black, but he didn't do none of the relevant urban media outlets with his last project. I don't know how someone plans to thrive by doing that, but I heard that it might not have been all the way his decision. Because it seems strange. I'm like, damn, you did all of them other spots.
Nah, he don't. I know Davies. He's not going, I'm not doing them, I'm going to do them.
Right.
That's a publicist. A publicist, like, okay, you do this outlet, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And there's more money being put into those outlets because they market, in their opinion, a wider, broader audience. Right. And this happens to the artists too. Like we get told, urban radio, rhythmic radio is all the chitlin circuit, but you are officially successful and you blown up when you crossed over.
Okay, now doesn't that sound retarded? Being as though me and you just established that the culture was created and belongs to us. Yeah. You feel me? But in order to be relevant or be popular, you don't want to fuck with the chitlin circuit. That's what we've been labeled.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what gets pushed on niggas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I honestly feel like whenever the narrative is going in a particular direction and it's being controlled by whoever is spending the most money, and it's always the big corporation. And the big corporation is always going to make the culture feel like there's not a whole lot of money in the black community. You know, like that's not considered success. But when you go over to Channel 955, that's the pop radio station here. When you get a song on Channel 955, that's a hit. You know, like what's her name? Taylor Swift. That's big time. You know what I'm saying? Right. And it's like perspective. Like
who's responsible for delivering these sorts of narratives? Whenever I've came, closer to the higher, the summit of hip hop and entertainment, nobody in the room looked like us. Nobody who was out giving out these directives, none of them had our background. Same thing goes in in the film industry. I've had people contact me from Hollywood and ask me about Tupac or Haitian Jack or something that happened in the streets because they're totally clueless on what the fuck is going on, but they are at the top of.
Yeah, I mean, you have a room full of motherfuckers meeting about, you know, marketing a project that, you know, that they have no idea how to make a record. They have no idea how to frame what it is that you are.
Right.
They have no idea of how to communicate with you. They are fucking taken aback by you and everything that is you.
Right.
But if you can't figure out a way to articulate what it is that you are, and you're dependent on a label to do that, then yeah, you're just gonna go through the motions. You know, they're gonna put you on a chart,
right,
and tell you you're number 3, you're number 4, you're number 5. And in your mind, you're just trying to get to number 1.
right.
So in order to get to number 1, white people have to like you.
Do you feel that these charts can be compromised? A couple of days ago, 6ix9ine made a video that went viral where he said that you can pay for positions on the Billboard charts. Because he said this, they totally removed them off the charts.
Bro, those charts don't mean anything.
Okay.
I've been saying this like my whole rollout. That shit don't mean nothing. Those charts don't mean anything. The first week sales don't mean anything. How much somebody's streaming don't mean shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's about the impression on the culture, and it's about understanding and knowing what it is that you're looking at. You know, Tyler Perry is extremely successful because he knows exactly what he is, and he targets the audience that fucks with him. And he makes billions of dollars off of that. He didn't let Hollywood tell him that there's no money in the black community. He makes movies for black people.
Right.
And that's what he does. You know, like, he didn't decide, yo, I got to figure out a way to be marketable to all, so I'm gonna add in a few white people in the cast of Medea.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like how, you know, how they try to do to the Chappelle show. You know, like take the black girl out, put a white girl in. You know, now some of the humor sounds like it's more at me than with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Chappelle didn't want that to be his narrative, so he walked away from that.
Right.
You know, and I think that's because he has a firm understanding of what he is and what, you know, like, along with that comes your ability to set boundaries when you know what you are. You know, like as drunk as I used to get and how fucked up I was, man, like there was a few things that I knew. I knew I didn't want to lose my family, my wife.
Right.
And I knew that I didn't want to be one of these niggas out here looking crazy like a rapper.
Yeah.
I knew those two things. And my drunkest nights, I knew those things. So, you know, like that's why one day I just got up and I just said, yo, that's it. I'm not drinking no more, because I knew drinking is the common denominator. That's the one thing that's helping to cause a lot of the shit that was problematic. You know
detoxed cold turkey. You quit cold turkey, or it was a process?
Cold turkey. I mean, it was a process, but yeah, like when I finally stopped, it was cold turkey. But it was definitely a process. But when I was like, yo, I'm not doing it. I called my mom, I called my dad, I called all my friends, I called Marshall, you know, because he's in sobriety before me.
Right.
And I was like, that was it, you know, and I just, that was it. But I was like really at that point where I was like, just tired of the bullshit, man. Just tired of the bullshit.
Do you have a relationship with Obi Trice?
I don't. I mean, I was cool. I was kind of cool with Obi before we started doing like before we got on.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of cool with him because we used to run into each other in passing. And then when I fell out with D12 and he was on Shady, I never used to see him.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, he was just, you know, he was over there. He was over there. I was over here. You know what I mean? So I actually didn't see Obi again until way after the fact. Way after Proof was already gone, and I would see the homie, and it was like, just kind of like, what up? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, no problem, but just
Right.
never got the opportunity to really build no real foundation of a relationship.
Right.
You know what I mean?
One of the last things I want to ask you.